This mug, you guys, is like so cute. I love this mug. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is 𝒥𝓃𝑒 𝒜𝓊𝓈𝓉𝑒, and in today's video we're going to be talking about books. So I'm going to be structuring this video into two parts. In the first part, I'll be talking about the reading challenge that I did over the last 2 weeks. I'll share with you some of the books that I read during that time, as well as give you an update as to the 2021 reading challenge that I've been doing for the last several months. And then the second part of the video, I'm going to be sharing with you, I guess, a book haul of sorts. So I'll be sharing with you some of the books that I bought recently. I've been on a bit of a book buying craze, and so has Alex as well. So he is going to be joining us for the second part of the video. Okay, so the first part is we're going to be talking about the 2021 reading challenge. So I'm just gonna get my phone out because my phone actually has the Goodreads app, which if you're not following me on Goodreads, feel free to search me up. It's just my name. So where am I with my reading challenge? I set myself a goal to actually read 20 books in 2021. I'm up to 8 so far, so I still have 12 more to go in essentially 2.5 months. That's a lot of books, isn't it? But if you know me well, especially, you know that I tend to do things last minute. So yeah, watch me read 10 books in December. No, it won't be that bad, but you never know. So the books that I actually did read is, the first one is The Midnight Library. So that was the first book that I read for 2021. I think that this book, I actually have really mixed feelings about it. I had a conversation with my friend Courtney about this book actually, and she really enjoyed it, and I know that my friend Victoria really enjoyed this book as well. I think the premise of it is really strong. I like the idea of people being able to try out, I guess, different lives, and the concept of parallel lives or parallel universes really appeals to me, and that's why I picked up the book, because I thought it was really interesting. The premise of the book is this woman, her name is Nora, she decides to take her own life, and in the in-between of like life and death, she goes into the Midnight Library where she's able to basically try out different lives based on, I guess, different decisions that she's made throughout her life. And, you know, if she chose A, you know, in the Midnight Library, she can experience her life if she decided to choose path B. So I guess that's the premise of the book, is that you can try out different lives based on, I guess, different decisions that you've made in the entirety of your lifetime. So I know that my friend Courtney mentioned this. So she reckons that people who are really, in her case, she reckons that she's quite indecisive, and that's why she really enjoyed the book, because she found it really comforting. I myself am quite a decisive individual. It takes me a really, really long time to make a decision, but once I make that decision, I stand by it. So this book was a little bit frustrating for me to read because I felt like the character, it was difficult for me to relate to that indecisiveness, maybe. There are certain parts of my life which I feel like, okay, maybe it's not where I want it to be, but I accept that that's sort of the decision that I've made, and that I know that if that's an area that I'm really truly unhappy with, I know that I'll go out and I'll actually do something about it. And I guess the character in this book takes a long time to get to that point, and I think that for me was a little bit frustrating to read. Basically, the moral of the book is, when you set your mind towards something, you can actually achieve it. And I guess the power of it is always within you. And I guess that's the message of the book. I enjoyed the book. Would I read it again? Probably not. I gave this book, I think, 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, bearing in mind that getting 5 out of 5 is I'm quite stringent with my 5. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. So it was a nice read. Probably won't read it again. It was comforting, but it didn't wow me. So yeah, if you have read that book, let me know what you think. Yeah, I'm curious to always hear people's thoughts. The second book that I finished was Homebody by Rupi Kaur. If you've always wanted to dip your feet into poetry, I think that Milk and Honey is such a great book to get into. Homebody was a bit difficult for me to get into this year because I think it discusses a lot of topics that were quite difficult for me to read, especially in times of like COVID. She delves into more like darker topics like depression and anxiety. For the last 2 years, it's been a difficult time for all of us. It was difficult for me to read this book, but it was such a rewarding read as well. So yeah, I would recommend this one. I think I gave this one 4 out of 5. So yeah, it's really good. So the third book that I read and finished was Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. If I were to choose, I would read Jane Austen for a whole month. She has such an intolerance for people who are insufferable and are, I guess, silly and overly charming, and I love her writing style. I think she's so funny. I think that she's accessible. One of the things that I've always loved about the way that Jane Austen writes her characters, which I really appreciate, is that the characters themselves are really complex. They're flawed. There are some parts of the character that you will love and some parts of the characters that you will hate. And that's what I really like about her characters, is that they feel real because they're so multi-dimensional. But I loved Northanger Abbey. This was her first book that she wrote, even though it was published last. And I think that it's a pretty good introduction into Jane Austen if you've never picked up a Jane Austen book before. I really liked it. It made fun of gothic romances and I guess the gothic genre that was really popular during that time. So yeah, it's really funny. I've started watching the movie Northanger Abbey that has Felicity Jones in it, and it is fantastic. So yeah, would recommend if you want to dip your toes into Jane Austen, pick this book up before you pick up Pride and Prejudice or Sense and Sensibility. I really liked it. So yeah, this I gave a 4 out of 5. Okay, so over the last 2 weeks, I decided to do a reading challenge. So the reading challenge was really simple. I just wanted to see how many books could I actually read if I were to limit how much TV time and how much TikTok time that I spend. And it turns out I can actually read a lot if I were to cut that out. So during the reading challenge, which I did on a Friday and I ended it on a Sunday, so it was maybe like 10 days in total, I managed to finish 5 books. I don't know what that tells you about how much TV I've watched, that I managed to finish 5 books in 10 days by limiting my Netflix time. So the first book that I read was Convenience Store Women by Sayaka Murata. I could not put this book down. I think that everybody should go read it. It's really funny. I think that it's very quirky. It's really short as well. It's, I think, 160 pages. The premise of it is basically this woman, 𝒥𝒶𝓃𝑒. She is 36 years old. She's worked in a convenience store for 18 years. She's reached that point in her life where people are starting to question, like, why are you still in that job? Why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? And she just loves working in a convenience store, and she's really happy in her life. And I think it's a really nice, comforting book to kind of say, hey, you know what, there are going to be quirks about you that people are going to question, but you know what, just own it, because if it makes you happy, then those people can just bugger off. It's a great book. I really like it. It's really funny. Would recommend. This one I gave it a 5 out of 5. So the next 3 books that I read were all poetry. I have a tendency when I am feeling a little bit lost or a little bit less like myself to read poetry. Emotions are best expressed in poetry, and there is comfort in finding connection through someone else's poetry. So I read 3 poetry books. 2 of them are from Langleaves, so The Universe of Us and Love Looks Pretty on You. And the 3rd poetry book that I read was actually by Lily Reinhart. So she plays Betty Cooper in Riverdale, and the name of the poetry book is called Swimming Lessons. So if I were to organize this in, I guess, order of the ones that I loved, Universe of Us, oh my goodness, I think that this poetry book is so romantic. So I'm not usually one to dog ear any of the pages of my books, but I just had to do it with this one. There were so many ones in here that I just absolutely loved. I have a feeling that I'm just going to pick this up again and reread it because it's one of my favorite works. Love and Misadventure is the first book that Langleaves actually released, and it's still one of my favorites. And the rest of the ones that I read after that were okay. And then I read this one and I was just like, oh, this is why I love her. She's fantastic. Yeah, if you haven't picked up Love and Misadventures, pick that one up. If not, if you want a more like romantic take on poetry, then pick this one up, because I really love this one and I think I'm going to reread this. I think I gave this one 4 out of 5. I'm pretty harsh, aren't I? Considering how much I've been talking about how much I love this book. The second poetry book that I read was Lily Reinhart's Swimming Lessons. As her first like poetry book, I think this isn't bad. There were some parts of the poetry where I did look at it and I was just like, if someone just went through this and just polished it and edited it a little bit, I think it could be stronger. I think in terms of technique, 𝒥𝒃 has it down pat in terms of like similes, alliteration, when it comes to rhyming even. I think that she's fantastic in terms of her technique. With Lily Reinhart, you can tell that it's a little bit more unpolished. But in saying that, there were some instances where I read it and I was just like, oh, that's like golden. So I would say that this one, I think I gave this one a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, only because I couldn't give like a half rating. Otherwise I would have given it like a 3.5 out of 5. It's not bad. I enjoyed it. I did have quite a few pages that I actually bookmarked for me to refer back to later, but I think this is a good one as well. And I think that for her first one, it's not bad, and I'm excited to see if she comes up with more, because I think that she has potential. The third book that I read was Love Looks Pretty on You, again by 𝒥𝒃. This one was more poetry and prose. I didn't love this one as much as The Universe of Us. I picked this up and I thought that this was incredible, and then I read this one and I didn't love it as much, and I can't really pinpoint why that is. I think maybe it didn't feel like a collection. I think it felt like it was a whole bunch of like things that were sort of like thrown together, whereas with The Universe of Us, I felt like the theme of it being love just felt very consistent throughout. Whereas with this one, I think that maybe because it was tackling different roles, I guess, in different loves that we experiences in our lives. Like we have like familial love, we have friendship love, we have romantic love, and I think that it felt a little bit more scattered, whereas I felt like if she had sectioned it out into like all the different kinds of love, if she had themed it, it would have worked a lot better. That's just my opinion. So yeah, I think this one I gave a 3 out of 5. Not bad, but it's not my favorite. So the last book that I read was Cho Nam-ju's Kim Ji-young, born 1982. This book is fantastic. If you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, this should be the one that you pick up. So I'll give a little bit of like backstory into this book. So Kim Ji-young is a girl born to a mother whose in-laws wanted a boy. Kim Ji-young is a sister made to share a room while her brother gets one of his own. Kim Ji-young is a daughter whose father blames her when she is harassed late at night. Kim Ji-young is a model employee who gets overlooked for promotion. Kim Ji-young is a wife who gives up her career and independence for a life of domesticity. Kim Ji-young has started acting strangely. Kim Ji-young is depressed. Kim Ji-young is mad. Kim Ji-young is her own woman. Kim Ji-young is every woman. If there is a single person who has ever doubted why we needed feminism, give them this book. I felt so strongly about this book, especially the ending. I threw it across the room. That's only happened to me a handful of times where I felt so strongly about the book that I had to throw it across the room. It's such a good book. I can't recommend this enough. I think that while the experiences of the main character is specific to Korea, I think that the experiences that she went through as a woman is universal. I can't even find the words to recommend this enough. Yeah, so this was the last book that I read in the reading challenge, and I'm so glad that I ended it on literally a bang. It is fantastic. Go read this. Just trust me and just go read it. Seriously. So for the rest of October, I'm going to be reading, I guess, a few books. 2 of the books I think are books that I've already started and I really want to finish. So one of them is Atomic Habits. I started reading that book as part of like Audible, and I really want to finish it. So that's my goal, is to finish Atomic Habits. The second book is I really want to finish Wuthering Heights. I started this at the start of my 2021 reading challenge, and I'm still about like halfway through it, and I really want to finish it. So my goal is to try and finish Atomic Habits and Wuthering Heights. And the third book that I want to read in October, and I'm going to be doing this with a couple of people. So I'm going to be reading this with my friends Victoria, Christine, and Federico, but also I'm going to be reading this with Alex, my partner, as well, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. And I got this edition because my friend Victoria has it, and I had my eye on it for absolutely ages. Also because it's the month of October and Halloween and spooky season is upon us, so I just felt like this was very fitting. And actually, my t-shirt is a Dracula t-shirt. I'm gonna come closer to the camera. so you can see it. Isn't it cute? There are darknesses in life and there are lights, and you are one of the lights, the light of all lights. It is a shirt from my friend Victoria's shop, the Library of Eden. I've ordered a whole bunch of stuff from my friend Victoria's shop. She sells a lot of like literary and celestial, I guess, items like t-shirts, mugs, books as well. So I ordered some stuff which I'm gonna unbox on camera. I've got a knife. Oh my goodness. One thing that I love about my friend Victoria is that she is like a kick-ass packer. Look how gorgeous this looks. Ooh. Sorry, I'm also really clumsy. Adorable. So she made these gorgeous Jane Eyre stickers that have the famous quote on them that says, "I am no bird and no net ensnares me. I am a free human being with an independent will." She's got a sweater as well, which has this quote on it as well, and I think it looks fantastic. So she said, "To H, thank you for your love and support. Hope you enjoy everything in this box. Love you to the moon and back. I love you, V." Oh my goodness. So she got me a blind date with a book. I actually completely forgot that you got this for me. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Okay, let me read it. "A delightful rom-com to escape into." I do love me a rom-com. "Plenty of twists, a fabulous friendship, and lots of laugh out loud moments. What if your future was somewhere in your past?" That's interesting. Ooh. My Great Escape. Oh my god, I've actually looked at this book on Amazon before, on the Kindle app. Rosie Jones has been dumped by every boyfriend she's ever had, most recently by Dinosaur Dave, live on TV. After the footage goes viral, Rosie receives a bunch of flowers with a message, "I love you, I should have never let you go, I want you back." But who sent them? Rosie decides to take a trip down memory lane, visiting each of her ex-boyfriends, but can she figure out which one is the love of her life, or should the past stay in the past? Ooh, this is so something I would pick up. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. I love these like blind dates of the book. I know Elizabeth's bookshop does it a lot, but yeah, so I'm super excited to get into this. I remember looking at this as well, and I remember telling myself how you have a lot of like books that you haven't read yet, so take your time, but you know what, you bought it for me, so I guess I have to read it, so I'm excited. So my friend Victoria has written a collection of short stories called Unfolding. I have the original copy, and she has now re-released it with a brand new cover and some updated information, and she's also done the back as well. I would highly recommend you read this. I devoured this super quickly. I have even bought this for, one of those like local library shops where you can like put books into. I've bought one for it. It's a collection of short stories. I read this last year during Christmas time, and it was fantastic. I'm so excited to have this in my hands again. So I actually sent this off to Victoria to actually sign it. So, ooh, she actually did right. Oh, so she wrote, "To my darling H, thank you for all your love, support, laughs, and all the happiness our friendship brings to my life. With love always, B." So this is the original copy that I have, but I'm super excited to have the new copy as well. I think it looks incredible. My goodness. My gosh, B, it is so stunning. She's so stunning. Look at her. She's got a YouTube channel as well, by the way. I'm gonna link it down below. If you watched my first book video, you'll know that I absolutely adore Zodiac Press books. They are my favorite collection of books, which I discovered through my friend Victoria. So I actually had a set of Jane Austen books that look exactly like this, the Northanger Abbey copy that I have. I had pretty much the entire set, except the one book that I didn't have was Pride and Prejudice, and Victoria had the copy of it, which she decided to sell on her Etsy shop, and of course, as soon as I saw it, I bought it. It is the most stunning books in my opinion, and now that I have Pride and Prejudice, it completes my collection. But I also decided to pick up another Zodiac Press book that she was selling on her Etsy shop, which was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. So I'm super happy with these. These look amazing, Victoria. I cannot believe that you decided to sell these. But one thing that makes me really happy was that the Pride and Prejudice was the only copy within that set that I was missing. It makes my heart really warm to know that the last copy that I needed to complete my Zodiac press set was completed by you, and this book was yours, and it makes it all the more special to me. So yeah, these Zodiac press books are fantastic. If you can get your hands on these, just love them and keep them well, because they are a gorgeous set of books. So the last few things that are in this box are, number one is a like little pouch. Oh my goodness, this is adorable. My goodness. Oh, this is so cute and it's so soft. Handmade embellished purse, love you to the moon and back. I love you. This is so cute. The other thing that you sent me was a whole bunch of Dorset tea. I'm so excited to get into this. It is a strawberry and cream flavored infusion inspired by life in Dorset. I think I remember you mentioning that the flavor of the tea was not your cup of tea. But let's see, I might like it, so we'll give that a shot. And the last thing is a scrunchie, and it's a recycled sari scrunchie as well. This is so cute. It's so pretty, my goodness. I love the colors on this. I just love it when things are made out of like recycled clothes or recycled books or recycled paper. There's something really satisfying about knowing that it's lived another life somewhere else. And this is stunning. Thank you so much, V. I swear, you're one of those people where when you get me presents, it's so tailored and it's so specific to me, and it makes me really happy every single time I get a parcel from you. But seriously, you guys, you need to check out her shop. I'm gonna insert some clips of some of the items that I bought from her shop. Alex is gonna be appearing very soon in one of the t-shirts that I also bought from her shop as well. Highly recommend it. I've got a bunch of totes. I've got a couple of t-shirts from her shop as well. I would highly recommend getting items from her shop. I think she has impeccable taste. She designs all of these items on her own, and they're such amazing quality. And I think that especially now that we're reaching towards that time where Christmas is upon us, I think that they will make a good gift. If you happen to know a book lover, or if you are a book lover yourself, I think that these are amazing items that you can treat yourself to. So let's get into the second part of the video. Alex.
Hello and welcome, Facebook. This is 𝒥𝒶𝓃𝑒 𝒜𝓊𝓈𝓉𝑒𝑒, and today we present to you book talk.
Okay, so for the second part of the video, I brought Alex on board to show you some of the books that we got recently and do a bit of a book haul. Alex, did you want to take the parcels, the packages? Don't hide your beautiful face.
So many books, there's no space for a face.
Okay, so this is all of the books that we got recently. Some of these, of course, I got from Victoria, but these are the books that I bought recently from, what was it, Crow Books, I think,
yeah,
in Victoria Park. I'm gonna quickly go through these books and just give like a brief description of each of them. The first one is Women Don't Owe You Pretty, which is basically for anyone who wants to challenge the outdated narratives supplied to us by the patriarchy. It will help you to embrace feminism in all its messy glory, explain that you are the love of your own life, and remind you that you owe men nothing, least of all pretty. I got myself yet another book of poetry. This one is called September Love by Lang Leave, so I'm excited to get into this one. My friend Victoria is going to be releasing a book of poetry and prose at the end of this month, which is going to be called Ephemeral, so I'm super excited for that one. The third book is The Mermaid of, how do you pronounce this word?
Black.
Not that one, this one.
Conch.
The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey. Which is basically about a fisherman, his name's David, who attracts a sea dweller that he never expected, which is Acacia, which is an innocent young woman cursed by jealous wives to live as a mermaid. So I seem to have a weird obsession with mermaids, and this book really appealed to me, and it seems to have really good reviews, so I'm really excited to get into this one as well. The Starless Sea was the fourth book that I got. Alex bought this one for me. It was written by Erin Morgenstern. I really loved The Night Circus, and I've been holding off on buying this one because I'm worried that I won't love it as much as The Night Circus, but my friend Claudia read this and she really liked it, and she said that I should treat it as a separate book, which I will. It's going to be tough because I loved The Night Circus, but again, really excited to get into this one. It's more on the like fantasy side of things. The last book that I got was Beautiful Facade by Catherine S. Rose. It's about love, loss, healing, self-discovery, and the messy battle between one's head and one's heart. Yeah, so this is the last book that I got. So, Alex, did you want to share the giant pile of books that you got? Did you want to hold it up?
Yeah, sure. So unlike Howard, I don't really look at the reviews or anything. I just kind of pick whatever books interest me at the time. Yeah, so it's a bit of a gamble. Hopefully they're good. I'm sure they will be. So the first one I've got is called A Darker Shade of Magic. This one here is about, I think it's about a group of magicians who have an ability to go between kind of parallel universes. It's set in London. One London with magic, one London without magic, and a few other different ones. But yeah, so that'll be interesting to read. I think this is a bit of a series.
Yeah.
I've actually since went out and bought the other ones in the series, so hopefully it's good because
you've got all three books. That sounds interesting. I would read that.
Yeah.
I love parallel universe books.
Yeah. And then I bought this one called Anxiety is Your Superpower. I suppose it's just a little bit of a self-help book. Appealed to me at the time. It's good to kind of work on these things, hopefully in a constructive way. I got one here called Sorrowland. So this one here is a triumphant genre-bending novel following a young woman through a nightmarish yet recognizable landscape as she attempts to recreate a new life for herself and her children. Still not entirely sure what it's about, but I think there's a fair bit in there to unpack, and I think it's probably going to be quite a good one. So the next one is called The Bone Ships. Now I think this one here is a trilogy. I bought all three.
You know one thing I'm realizing about you? You buy all of the three books without even reading the first book.
Look, if it looks good, if it not physically looks good, although these do look beautiful,
do look good.
If it appeals to me and the length helps, then it's a good start.
Yeah, the thing about the difference between Alex and I is that I feel like he reads a lot of like book series, whereas I tend to read more like standalone books. It's almost quite rare for me to pick up a series, where he seems to like delve into so many like series.
Yeah, I like to have a bit more meat on the bone and work on a story that I can kind of get stuck into for a little bit longer.
Yeah, beautiful books. What's it about?
So, for generations, the 100 Isles have built ships from the bones of ancient dragons to fight an endless war. The dragons disappeared, but the battles for supremacy persisted. Now the first dragon in centuries has been spotted in far-off waters, and both sides see a chance to shift the balance of power in their favour, because whoever catches it will not only win glory, but the war. So that'll continue on.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Big Games of Thronesy.
Yeah, and one thing that I do usually look for is a lot of books these days tend to have comments from other authors on the back, and so I usually look for authors that I'm familiar with.
So which
and
was
look for their praise. Yeah, so this one's got Robin Hobb on the back. I really enjoy the work that she's produced. I think it's got a few others, but that's one that stands out to me first.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then the last one is called The Desert Prince. I've never read anything by this author. So this one here, The Desert Prince, is about two main characters, a princess and the very sparkly, the son of a great hero. They're in a land where supposedly all the demons of the past have been, removed from the earth, and they now find themselves both thrust into a situation where they find that these demons are still around. There's a lot of expectations on them to save the world and to be these people who everyone thinks they are, but now they actually have to step into those shoes and see if they can fulfill what's expected of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the last book that you picked up recently?
So this is not a new one, I suppose. I've been reading this for a little while. So this one is Neil Gaiman. I actually haven't read any of his work before now, so I read American Gods just recently. A really good book. I think probably a significant amount of it went over my head. I'm sure he did a lot of research, and as did I while reading it. But I think there's a lot to unpack in there that maybe went over my head. I'll probably need to watch the TV series. Maybe that'll help tie up a few loose ends. What
went over your head, you felt?
The story was reasonably abstract. I think there was a lot of symbology, a lot of different mythology and bits and pieces. So it'll be curious to see what some of the people online and other reviews think, and the stories that they put together and the meanings that they can derive from it. Yeah.
What did you like about the book?
Not sure. I'm still deciding if I liked it. Like, it was obviously well written, but the characters are kind of hard to. It's written from the perspective of one man, and it's kind of hard to understand what's going through his brain sometimes, especially when a lot of it is so symbolic and abstract.
Yeah, see, I find that really interesting because a book that I couldn't really get into because I didn't really like the main character was Norwegian Wood. And I know that my friend Ariel has finished this book, and my friend Lucinda started this book, and she and I both abandoned the book because I felt like I couldn't really relate to the main character. So yeah, I don't know how to do that, like what the solution is in that case, because I find that when I'm not really passionate about the main character, it's difficult for me to get passionate about the book. So
yeah,
I don't know how you persist through that.
Well, it's not that I didn't like it. It was just I wasn't always on the same page as him, and a lot of the book is being portrayed as not even being properly human or alive or things like that. So it's I suppose from that sense, it's not that he's dislikable. He's just hard to relate to.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it.
If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Howard's channel for more future content like this.
Yeah, if you guys wanted to comment as well and let me know if you've been reading any good books lately, if you have any recommendations for books that you think Alex and I should read.
Or if you've even read some of the books that we've talked about in the video.
Yeah, that'd be good to know as well. I know that one of the books that I want to pick up in November is Where the Crawdads Sing, which is a book that my friends Lucinda and Claudia have both read, and they both have impeccable taste when it comes to books, so I really want to get into that. So yeah, if there are books that you've been reading lately that you would recommend to either of us, or if there are books that you are interested in reading based on the books that we talked about today, let us know in the comments down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!
Yeah.
This is a damn long one.
Plenty of editing to go.
I've got tons of editing. It's an hour and 16 minutes. My God. I tell you, this cat in normal daytime will ignore me. And then as I'm trying to do something, will come and distract me. So the way that I'm going to be structuring this video is I'm getting so distracted because there's a cat that's like sniffing all of the books in front of me. Thank you so much, kitten. You're very cute, but please migrate somewhere else. I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I read. Cat!